Let's face it, we are sick. 133 million Americans live with chronic disease, and each one of them takes at least one prescription medication. The US spends the highest amount on healthcare per capita, but has the worst health outcomes when compared to other countries. It makes you think if our healthcare system is really just sick care. Maybe we've gotten so used to treating our symptoms, we've forgotten to consider the root cause of the disease. Modern society has provided us with virtually unlimited access to information and technology, and with that, naturopathic modalities of healing have been discarded or judged as placebo. But those traditions have existed for thousands of years for a reason. Those healers believe that our bodies, when at equilibrium with our environments, can actually heal from the inside out. And today, there are healers whose mission is to combine modern allopathic medicine with naturopathic modalities to do just that. Join us as we hear their stories and learn what brought us to this point, and how we can work towards building a healthier future for the sake of the next generation.
We do live in a capitalistic society. We built a system over time where the healthcare model is really ran by corporations.
If you look into the history of medicine in general, there's a big play of big business in how we receive our health.
Most of the people, the patients that are going there, they're repeating through the ER, through the urgent center. They're never getting better.
It should be about the individual. And I think that's something that's really been lost over time.
They're never getting cured. They're just coming there for treatment, management, more drugs, maybe surgery. They're never getting a fix or cure for whatever's wrong with them.
It's really been more about what's gonna make who the most money.
I saw a doctor and I was kind of explaining, hey, this is what's happening to me. And he's like, all right, here's a PPI, like a proton pump inhibitor this will basically stop your stomach from making acid. Problem was solved. I could eat whatever I want. And then 3 years fast forward, the medication stopped working for me. I was like, well, what can I do now? And I went and saw a naturopathic doctor who took me off the medication that I was taking for about, 4 or 5 years at that point. You're not supposed to be on that kind of medication long term.
My name is Dr. Stone. I'm a naturopathic doctor here in San Diego. I focus really on family medicine, trying to help as many different people as possible here. I graduated undergrad. I wanted to become a doctor right away, focusing really just in the allopathic world because that's all I knew at the time. I really got to understand medicine a little bit more, seeing the insides, outsides, some of the good, some of the bad, and just didn't align with the type of doctor I wanted to become. And finally, working for years, I met my first naturopathic doctor, understanding you could learn both Western and some old school Eastern modalities to help people heal. I like to tell my patients, mindset is one of the biggest parts that I always like to work on to begin with, because if your mind's not right, it's hard to do any treatment plan out there. And I could give a patient every single treatment that might do well, but if they're not mentally ready, why even go down this course? Because it's not going to be as effective. Then when we talk about the soul, which the soul is something that we honestly kind of taken away from a patient in the conventional system today. You go in, you see your doctor, you get an X treatment, but you actually going into this with your own innate system being at its best.
I didn't want to just be put on prescriptions, so that was really the final layer for one of my GI health issues, was just being put on some hard prescriptions that I didn't really want. I wanted to know more about the underlying root issues and find more ways to manage my symptoms besides just prescriptions. So that was probably one of the biggest drivers for me in considering alternatives. The way I've integrated it into my whole life, kind of holistically, is realizing that I am not the exception to our body in the way that it works. And what that means is I thought I could avoid kind of the rules of nature and like diet, nutrition, and supplementation. I'm a human just like everyone else. While I have my bio-individuality, I am a human with these functioning systems that are very complex. And so by working with a naturopath, we're able to understand where I was actually at, what was going on in my body, and then as a result of those diagnostics, understand what do I need to do to improve those.
What brought me into naturopathic medicine was what I saw faulted in allopathic medicine. My grandmother was passing away, and something that I had to watch was how allopathic medicine failed her. She was prescribed a lot of medications, doctors weren't talking to each other, and because of that, she had a lot of complications. She passed away, and me and my sister, who's also a naturopathic doctor, we just felt that there was something else that could be done.
Many of my colleagues that are medical doctors, doctors of osteopathy, PAs, nurse practitioners, all of these that are working in the conventional system, they got into this system wanting to help people. Unfortunately, the system itself is actually broken today. You go in, you're dictated by what your insurance can and can't do. There's little emphasis on prevention out there. And even sometimes the ideas of food is medicine or supplementation, almost some people look at like, why even do that? Is that even real? But we know these are such fundamental factors.
My experience within naturopathic medicine has been, to just life-changing. For me, the only thing that I ever thought that medicine was you go to the doctor, you get prescribed medicine, and hopefully you get better. But then the simple concept that's followed under naturopathic medicine is treat the root cause. That's been probably one of the most eye-opening things, and it feels so right nowadays.
If you are their doctor, obviously you're building this relationship over time. And with that said, I think it goes into even our first appointment with the patient. Conventional medical system, just due to the numbers, how little amount of doctors there actually are, typically a patient would be seen for about 16 minutes on average. Are you ever truly knowing who that patient actually is? For us, our first appointment's typically about 60 minutes in length with a patient, where yes, we want to know why they came in, what disease they have, what problems they have, but it's understanding all the other factors about them, understanding their lifestyle, such as their diet, how much they exercise, their stress levels, their relationships around them. I mean, there's so many pieces that really go into it to then finally know who they are.
We aren't as proactive with health. We really are reactive. We aren't actively trying to prevent new diseases. We are reactive and defensive towards what symptoms come up.
The big differences, though, between a naturopath and a licensed naturopathic doctor is a naturopath, like anyone could use this term. You could go online, get a quick certification, or naturopathic doctor is very different. We go through 4 years of undergrad, we then go to naturopathic medical school, we take 2 sets of board exams, finally be able to be licensed to truly practice medicine here.
So when I'm working with a patient, I typically do see them for their well child visits, for their acute visits, right? But I do like them to have a conventional pediatrician. In my current state in California, I'm not able to have hospital privileges. God forbid something happens. I want to make sure they have a point of contact that they feel very comfortable with, that they can go to with these more complex questions.
It's not naturopathic medicine versus conventional medicine. It's a place where these two worlds really need to come together.
I see the place for both types of medicine, and it is about collaboration.
A lot of people are sick out there. We have chronic disease that is so rampant. We have illnesses that just really weren't around as much as they are today. And this world, by really focusing on lifestyle, focusing on the interventions that could help support someone further, is just so needed today. So I think at a primary care level, the way we could actually integrate into the system is something that could hopefully change the future of how we are seeing patients today.
That's only going to start with the younger generations and education. And that's a really big part of naturopathic medicine. We're not just trying to tell people what to do. We're trying to teach them why they're going to do what they're going to do and how that's going to impact their health.
It's not like you have a headache, here's ibuprofen or Tylenol, right? That headache's gone within an hour. You have to put in the work to see the results. And for me, at first it was a little challenging, but what I love about naturopathic medicine is that it's very individualized and personalized to you and your needs.
I've had a ton of benefits in the last, I'd say 2 years ago when I started really taking ownership of my health. I've lowered my cholesterol to normal ranges. I've lowered my average blood glucose slightly as well because I was ranking on pre-diabetic. I've lowered my blood pressure about 10 beats. I've also lost about 45 pounds just through diet change. So those are just some of the few.
The biggest challenge that I've faced integrating naturopathic medicine into my life was patience. You work with conventional medicine, I can take a drug that will ease all symptoms and kind of make me feel as if I'm already healed. It's an ongoing process. It's every day, one step at a time, and then we're healing from the inside.
It's going to take time. Most things, might take 5-10 years to develop in your body, and it might take an equal amount of time to unravel that issue that you maybe created in your systems.
Now that I know about naturopathic medicine, I don't want to go back to a place where a sickness or disease or something that I have a health issue, it's so far to the point where maybe it's too late to do something about it.
We are not a federally recognized degree. So every single state, there's a little over 20 states that we actually can be licensed in, one state to the next. We also have title differences as well. And that's where a lot of legislation and people in my industry are really working on, is really help and put out more information for people to understand what a licensed naturopathic doctor is.
I wish there was a better way for people to understand what naturopaths did, for it to not be so confused with these other kind of natural and holistic approaches, that it could just really stand out on its own.
To truly make people healthy again, we need to marriage these worlds together, really focusing on how we could bring good, sound, science-backed approaches that we both have and help patients on a truly integrative model.
When society teaches, the public that medicine should look like this, but in reality, medicine looks like however it's supposed to look like for the individual. And as a naturopathic doctor, that's what we do best. And whether that starts as fixing up their diet, employing a little bit of exercise, helping them get better sleep, but that's not always something that's considered medicine.
In the future, I do see naturopathic medicine being a primary care model, starting with lower level interventions and moving up to more conventional or top tiers, such as pharmaceutical interventions as needed. And we're seeing it in different states being implemented in that way. And I think that as it becomes more mainstream, we are going to move towards that being the conventional model, right? That naturopathic medicine as primary care and conventional medicine as the specialists, which is how they are trained, and they are incredible at their specialties.
The most rewarding aspect of natural medicine, I feel like, is, again, a lot of people will go, like cancer, for example, they'll go to their oncologist or whatever doctor, and they tell them, oh, you have about 5 months to live. How, disheartening is that? And coming from a religious background where, the only person that can control when you live or die is, in my opinion, God or a higher power, I don't think you can give doctors of any sort, of any specialty, no matter how well trained they are, that kind of authority and power to tell you how long you have to live.
I really want to help my community. It's not for myself or for the clinic that I'm being employed by. I truly want to help my fellow man.